Hi, and welcome to the Avidknits podcast. My name is Sarah, and I'm going to be your host today. Today is Wednesday, May 15th, 2019, and I am back from Portland. I went to Portland last week, so I don't know what I'm doing. You can find me on Instagram and Ravelry, both as Avidknits, and there is an Avidknits podcast group on Ravelry. I really hope you'll come over and chat with us and join. Just really quick up here in the front, I am hosting a knit-along for the summer. It runs, started at May 1st. It's going to run through July 31st. All the details for that are in the group, but I will, really quick rundown. Basically, lace fingering or sport weight, 3/4 sleeves or short sleeves or less. And then something lightweight, summer top, layering piece type thing. Okay, so I know that some of y'all are in the southern hemisphere and you're getting winter. You're so lucky. I'm not ready. It's so hot. You guys are not ready. Anyway, feel free to knit a layering piece. I'm not real fussed, you guys. Just tag me in it, okay? Let me know. It's called the Summer Sun Make-Along. I'll put that right here. I highly encourage double dipping. So you can double dip into Kristen of Volenvine is having the year-long garment along. Stephanie of Asylum Fibers is having the Crop It Like It's Hot Cal. Kemper of Junk Yarn just announced today she's going to do the summer top cal. I was going to use that hashtag, but somebody had already started it, so I should have looked at the post to see how old the posts were. Maybe that's her old tag? Maybe she's done this before. I don't know. Anyway, I thought about it, but then I don't know whose that is. I don't want to hijack their hashtag. Kemper doesn't care. She's the queen. She can do what she wants. Anyway, double dip into one of theirs. There's lots of patterns. Jessie May is a really wonderful designer right now who is pumping out summer tops like you would not believe, and they are so cute. I actually have a ripple bralette on the go, but I haven't made any progress on it since the last time I saw you, so I'm not even going to pull it. It's a band of ribbing. You can't tell what it is. It's fine. Hi guys. Thank you so much for checking me out. If this is your first time to the podcast, I hope you'll stick around. You'll try it. I hope that you become part of the Ravelry group and do those things. And if you're returning and you're used to this nonsense, well, I was gone for 2 weeks. It's going to be better. This is my second time recording. The last one, I flew through it. I forgot to introduce myself properly. I just kind of like you and I go for coffee all the time and you know me, and I just sat down on your sofa and we just started talking about what was going on. It's bad. I finally got tired of being like, I'll just cut that out, and I'm just going to do it again. That'll be faster. Yeah. So I did go to Portland over the weekend. So I was in Portland, Oregon, away from my husband and son over Mother's Day. When I booked the tickets, I didn't really realize what day it was, and so I just kind of went with what had the best price and just made that work. So I will talk about that trip, what my family did without me, what I did while I was there at the end, but I will mention some of it as I go along because I do have a couple of acquisitions, and all of my knitting for this week has basically been travel knitting. So before I left, the week before I left, I really caught up on work. I am a sample knitter, and so I have a couple of samples on the needles that need to be done before Houston Fiber Fest in the end of June, I'm sorry. And they're all rocking along. They're doing just fine. So whenever I left on Thursday at dark 30 in the morning, I left at like 5:15. It was super, super early. My flight left. So on Wednesday, I didn't see any need to record just because I had made just some progress on work. Like I didn't really get a lot done fun last week. And then I didn't, I knew I was going to get up super early, and I didn't want to spend, my last day fighting with the camera. I figured I would just wait till I got back and had stuff to tell y'all about. So I did no work while I was gone. I was totally irresponsible, and I'm not mad about it. So I have 2 half-finished objects because they're both socks, and then I have a work in progress to share with you. I have some stash acquisition sort of stuff. And then I have some travel tales. So we'll just get right into it. I don't have a finished object. I don't have a what I'm wearing. It is 87 degrees outside, you guys. And I am, to be frank, running low on sweaters. I have one more cardigan I haven't shown you, and I haven't picked out buttons for it. So that's why I keep excusing myself from having to put it on the podcast. My camera right now is propped up on a tote full of finished objects, but the majority of them are cowls and hats and stuff like that. And it's just too hot. Like, there's just no way, you guys. So yeah, so we'll just jump right in with my half-finished objects. And I can't remember. I'm pretty sure I've shown at least one of these. So I'll start with one I'm pretty sure you've seen before. So I did finish a sock. I finished it right before I left. This is Nomadic Yarns in her sparkle base. This is her Harry Potter self-striping. The colorway is called Hagrid. It's just these really pretty chocolate and tan and silver with this beautiful little like coral pink kind of color. And I am using Sweet Georgia Tough Love Sock. I do not remember the colorway name. I'm so sorry. I'll have to Google that. I really don't remember. It's been a long time since I bought this. I bought that in Idaho, actually. So I finished that sock, and then I am like in the middle of getting ready or finishing my heel flap so I can turn my heel. Yeah. So that's my goal for the day, is to get that heel turned and then go back to work, get picked back up on work, because I spent the whole week not working. I got back into town late Sunday night, and yesterday was supposed to kind of be a veg day for me, but because my husband works the hours that he works and it was Mother's Day weekend and he treated himself on Saturday, nothing in my house got done. So grocery shopping needed to be done, laundry needed to be done, and we needed to clean. So I spent yesterday catching up on that, which meant that I slept really well last night because I was super tired again. So it's okay. My other half-finished object is this huge tube. Yay. I've never done a truly afterthought heel, so I'm going to practice that on these, and I just want to finish the second tube. So I'm about halfway, I think, right? Yeah, I'm about halfway. So yeah, that's coming along. Those are doing. This is Knitted Wit in her 80/20 sock base, which is super squishy. These are amazing. And this is the PDX carpet colorway. Because I flew to Portland, I thought that they were super appropriate. These are actually for the girl that I went to go visit. Her name is Camille, and she is actually the maker behind this really pretty macrame piece that I have right here. We've known each other since like 4th grade. And she's incredibly knit-worthy. So when I found the Knitted Wit socks, I actually found them because Liz from Trey Liz posted up a stories. I think she made a top out of hers, maybe? I didn't even know the colorway existed, and I sent it to her and was like, how many do you want? And then I bought them before she replied. So yeah, it worked out fine. I bought 2. So she's going to get socks. She finally confessed that she really likes long socks. She always told me that ankles were fine, but I think it was because she didn't want me to have to work too hard. She finally confessed how much she likes a really long sock. So that's what these are for. I bought this mini as my contrasting heels. This is oval fingering, and this is part of my stash acquisitions, but we'll talk about it here. However, when I bought it, I was focused more on finding the color I needed. And I'm pretty sure this doesn't have nylon in it. It's pretty fuzzy. So I'm not sure that that's going to work out. I might use them anyway. She has wood floors, so they shouldn't have too much wear. And then whenever she wears out, I'll just have her send them to me and I'll use a nylon to replace it. Give myself some time to find the color. I've had a really hard time finding like a red-orange kind of color, because this isn't Gigi Made It, like, super bright. You know, it's got more of a reddish tone. You don't care. My point is that I don't know if those heels are going to hold up, but it'll be okay. I will do it anyway, I suppose. So, yeah, I'm super excited about that. I stole a page from Ellie of Skein-Deer because I liked her so much, and I cast on a burgundy hay sweater. So this is my hay sweater. It is from Lina issue either 4 or 6. I'm so sorry. I'll pop it in right here. I can't remember. But the designer is Claire Mountain. And it's just this really basic kind of cropped sweater. It has a really pretty lace panel. It comes up both sides. It's the side too. And then that lace panel will continue to come up the front and up the back. You'll divide for the sleeve holes right in the middle. And so that's what that marker's for. I'm getting ready to do that. So I cast this on when my flight left Houston at 5 a.m., and I, as a bottomed up, so I started with my 300 almost stitches down here on the bottom, and I did my thing, and I was knitting the ribbing, and I was just about done with the ribbing, and I looked down and straightened it out on my needles and found out that I've been knitting a Mobius strip. There was nowhere near enough coffee in the world to get me through that morning. I'm not going to lie to you. So anyway, when we got to Denver, not to tell you the whole story right up front, but I'm going to tell you the whole story right up front. When we got to Denver, it was 85. When we left Houston, we got to Denver, it was 32 and sleeting and snowing. And so we got stuck on the tarmac. The plane at the gate that we were supposed to go to, we got there about 10 minutes early. The plane that was still in our gate basically wouldn't move. I don't know what was going on. We weren't privy to that knowledge. But they pulled out kind of a temporary jetway for us. And the ramp was sort of a temporary ramp type thing, and so basically had been snowed on and sleet and had sleet on it or whatever. So when we got off, like, all of the flight attendants are just begging you to be so careful so you don't break yourself trying to go down this thing. And then whenever you got down, we went underneath an awning to get into the terminal, and like that's where all the water collected and kind of flooded. And I wore sandals because it's 85 here and 80 something in Portland, and nobody mentioned the winter stopover we were gonna have. It was a mess. And then I had a 3-hour layover in the Denver airport. There are worse places to have layovers. I'll give them that. It's fine. I found a Caribou coffee. I got myself something hot to drink and a blueberry muffin. And I sat down in the terminal to watch everybody walk by and do some people watching. And I recast it on. So over 4 days, I took my PDX carpet socks. I actually took my Hagrid socks too, but I didn't work on them at all. I worked on my Portland socks, my PDX socks, and I worked on this. This makes surprisingly good conversation knitting. So I've known Camille for a very long time, but one of her best friends that she worked with when she first got out of college, they've known each other for years too. Her name is also Sarah, haha. Her and her husband ended up moving up to Portland a few years ago, so she has her bestie there now, which is really great. So I finally got to meet Sarah, and she's super sweet. That was a lot of fun. I had a really good time. But I was able to take this when I met her and her husband and was able to get in a bunch of knitting. So basically I got to the armhole separation on my flight back after we stopped in Denver on my, hiccups. After we stopped in Denver on my flight home. And then I just worked on my PDX socks for the flight into Houston. I got in at around 12:30 Thursday night. Lies. Monday night. I don't know where I thought I was going. Yes, Monday night. So I was able to work on that for a little bit. So yeah, so that's my knitting. That's my knitting content, you guys. It's super simple this week, and super chill. Oh, I am so sorry. See, we're doing it again already. That's why I re-recorded. This is Yoth. Yarn on the House in the Little Brother base, which is an 80-10-10 merino cashmere nylon in the colorway Pomegranates. And it's my first time working with cashmere. I finally get the hype. I've had a couple of cashmere bases, and I mean, they're nice, but I wouldn't spend an extra $15 for them. This I get. I would do that again. Like, I really enjoy it. It's super nice. I picked this up at DFW Fiberfest a few weeks ago. And I just pulled my stitches out because I'm great. If you're interested in Yoth, I know that the owner behind Yoth has been asked by the owner of Tolt in Carnation, Washington, to take over her store. I know that they carry Yoth. I know that McKinney Knittery in Dallas carries Yoth, and a couple of other places. So if you're from Texas or if you're in the area, those are a couple of suggestions for you on getting it. It's really wonderful yarn. I suggest it. Okay, I'm going to move into stash acquisitions because that's what I have. So when I go to Portland, we lived in Portland for a while, for those of you who don't know, not very long. My husband took a job in Vancouver, and we were there for a couple of months. Portland housing is really ridiculous. So we he took the job so fast that we didn't have a chance to figure out housing. So we were staying in a hotel and doing our thing, and my husband's dad got really sick, and we ended up having to come home. Long story short, we basically have been back to Portland, I'd say probably 5 and 6 times since that point, if not more than that. And We love the city. We go all the time, but we've never really had a chance to explore it. It was always traveling, and then you had, have my kid, I have my dog, and like you have to find places that allow you to have all of those things at the same time. Or you have to have time to do some of the stuff, and so that's always been a little bit difficult. So this time I went basically with the intention of drinking a lot of coffee, eating a lot of food, looking at the views. That was my goal for this trip. And my favorite yarn store, I don't want to say I like it more than Tolt, because Tolt's pretty fantastic, but it probably has more that I knit with. Tolt has a really wonderful Irish and Norwegian and like a hardy wool section. It's really beautiful. We don't live in a place that's cold enough usually to wear those kinds of things. So like I have a couple of garments made out of that style of yarn, and I really love them and I really appreciate them, but it is not a yarn that I am capable of gravitating toward all the time. So my second favorite yarn store in the Pacific Northwest is called Starlight Knitting Society. And so I just really enjoy them. They've got a really wonderful selection. It's very cozy. It's in a nice, cute little neighborhood in Portland. You feel really welcome every time you go, and it's really sweet. So I went, and Starlight is one of those knitting stores where if you come in and you look around and you expect to find something right away, you might find a couple things that really catch your eye. But I find that for me, every time I walk around, I find something I didn't see before. So I like to take a walk through, kind of saunter through, do a couple of laps, and I like to sit down and knit and find out what my eye keeps getting drawn back to. It's a strategy I like to employ in as many yarn shops as I can, because then I come home with something I really, really wanted, as opposed to something that I thought, oh, that's cool, I'll take that. So something that my eye kept going back to this time was a bag. Now, I saw these online when they were first released, and I have to admit to you, they're a little pricey. They're not outrageous by any stretch, but they are a little more pricey than I was comfortable with not being able to look at and touch. Like, I couldn't find one here. So, as most of you know, I do have a blue and black Dark Watch plaid fringe supply bag, and I really do like it. I really do like it. I am not one of those people that... The discussions that were raised by Karen Templer weren't enough to make me go out and burn my purchases, basically. So my husband purchased this bag for me for Christmas in 2017. I have a lot of memories associated with it, and it was my one and only purchase I've ever gotten from Fringe, so it was enough for me to say that I wouldn't continue to purchase until their policies changed a little bit, until they were able to finally get their stuff together a little bit more. I haven't been actively searching for a bag to replace mine, but I did find something that works not only because people ask you about the bag quite a bit, and I don't like telling people, yeah, this is what I got, but you might want to watch out because of this policy or this stance that they have. I do know that they're trying to fix it. I'm really happy to see where they go with that, or interested to see where they go with that, mind you. Size-wise, here's my thing. I don't tend to carry a bag. I'm not a bag lady. I know that lots of people are. They really like to have bags and collect bags, and I have a collection of project bags, and I never use any of them. I might use the couple that I have right here to hold my stuff in, but I don't carry those around typically. That's just to keep my desk clean. And we travel a lot, so I always need a bag that's really good for car knitting. We like to drive in the snow, so I have waterproof mats, so if it might get a little bit wet, I need that to be okay. So the wax canvas has been a really, really great thing for me. But I kind of wanted a bag that was a little bit bigger and a little bit more purse-like, maybe, that would kind of transition better into different places that we went, because I take my knitting everywhere. So I found this one. This is from Twill and Print. So yeah, it's not horribly expensive. I think I paid about $100 for mine, and it is a very good size bag. Like I can fit a sweater's quantity in here, as long as it's a fingering weight sweater and you only take 2 or 3 balls with you. I don't see any reason you wouldn't be able to do that. I like that it has the cinch top and you can kind of round it. I like that if you don't want to see this really pretty fern and leaf section, I don't know why you wouldn't, but if you don't, you can tuck that down and it becomes pretty utilitarian. You can take the handle off and you can just squish it into the bottom of another bag if you want. It is waxed canvas, so you have cotton canvas at the top, waxed canvas on the bottom, and then this is vegan tan leather. So that makes me really happy. No animals were killed. Very nice. Very animal-friendly bag. I did move over some of my pins. The only one I did not move over is the Black Mountain Yarn Shop, and that's just because I left it on my fringe because I will use that again. I like that bag quite a bit. But yeah, I'm really happy to have one that is a little bit more take it everywhere, I guess. You know, I like the way that the handle sits. I like that I can carry it on my forearm. I don't generally tend to knit from my bag, so the wristlet on the fringe bag is sort of lost on me. That's how I carry it, obviously, but I don't really use it for what it's worth, or for what it was meant for, I'm sorry. It has a ton of pockets, so it's got, I'm going to do it, I think it's silly, but I'm going to do it. It has pockets on this side, and it has pockets on the other side. So lots of little pockets meant for all those little notion thingies that you carry. It has an outside pocket here. Yeah, so anyway, it's super nice. I really like it. Mine's kind of messy already. Linty. No, it's not. That's the color of the canvas. I'm an idiot. My bag is lovely, thank you. Just turn me off, man. It's fine. Yeah, anyway, so I bought the bag. I did buy myself one skein of yarn, and I bought it with an intention of taking a couple of Olan club colors that I have and tying them together so that I could make a Spectre sweater by Joji Locatelli, which is a fade. I'll put it in a picture. And yeah, we'll talk about it in a minute. So this is it. So it's a gray with some mauves and some purples and some gold speckles, and some orangey little copper bits down here. It's super pretty. It is for single ply base. This is 6/7 fiber. Oh, it's not a vertical. I am so sorry, you guys. 6 and 7 fibers. This is their barley base. It's a 100% superwash merino, single ply fingering, 400 yards. The colorway is called Embers at Dawn, and it is absolutely beautiful. I would highly, highly recommend this yarn. You can find them on Etsy, and they have their own website. So, that being said, I bought it to blend into a fade, and I'm just going to be absolutely blunt with you guys. The fade thing has completely left me behind. I never found a fade. I never really searched really hard for a fade. I don't know if I would wear a fade. I'm interested in finding out. So I might knit it just to see if I'll wear it. I might not even do the Spectre. I might just do like the So Faded, just like a body sock, or I might just find a simple raglan. I've been thinking about making another painting sweater, which is my purple sweater that I've shown before on the podcast. And maybe I'll just fade that and see what I think about the whole concept of it, the whole idea of it. It's not really my thing. I generally tend to wear one color type things. I always like speckled yarn, but I don't know that I would wear it in clothing, I guess. I'll have to check it out. I'll try it and see what I think. And I hope I will, because otherwise I have a couple of single skeins of single ply merino. I don't knit shawls. I would really hate to have to destash this. This is really pretty. Greedy. Anyway, too funny. Yeah, so I have a very good friend in Houston who happens to own one of my local yarn stores. It's called Twisted. She is closing this month. Janet has owned the shop for about 6 years, and I think it's been open for 15 all told. She has some grandkids and her daughter and stuff in Dallas, and she would really like to be able to spend more time with them, that kind of a thing. So yeah, so she's going to be closing. So I called her while I was in Starlight, and I said, hey, I'm here. Would you like something? And Starlight has a lot of really wonderful local brands. So Ritual Dyes, The Dye Project, Junk Yarn, Republic of Wool. I think they carry House of All Mode on occasion. I'm not positive about that one. I could totally have been lying. I'm so sorry if I am. And then he has some other really nice brands like Olan and Woolfolk and Swan's Island and the Fiber Company. Yes, and Owl. They have just really, really lovely selection. Plus all the notions in the world. So they carry like Jam PDX, pottery, which is just absolutely beautiful. And I wish I could have brought something home in a suitcase, but I would have been so sad had I broken it. So I called Janet and I was like, what would you like from this shop that I am in across the country? And she was like, I want some junk yarn. Do they have junk yarn? And I said, yes. I sent her a picture of their 2 baskets. They had a fingering and a DK. She chose a DK. And I'm going to move the tag so you can see all the colors because this part's the really speckly part. I moved it too far. Sorry. I'll just leave it on. This is junk yarn. It's this really beautiful gray with all of these neon speckles, and the name of this colorway is Astronaut Barbie, and I love Kemper's tags because it says, hello, my name is. And for those of you who don't know, Junk Yarn is run by a woman named Kemper. She is also known as Raybot on Instagram, and she dyes yarn based off of women. So she has colorways that are inspired by women. So like I said, this is Astronaut Barbie. And it's super pretty. It'll be really, really fun. So this is her DK weight, which is 100% superwash merino, 231 yards. So pretty typical DK. And I have a Starlight pin, which is my little pink, there it is, little pink knitting lady right here. And then I bought Janet this glittery, glitzy teal one so that she can put it on her bag if she would like to. And yeah, that's about it. So that's pretty much my knitting content. So I'm just going to babble on for a little bit, tell you about my trip, and, check in with y'all, see what you're doing. So my flight left at a ridiculous hour. I think my first flight left at 5:15 on Thursday morning. My husband, who has to be at work at 6, was super thrilled with that because we had to be up and out of the house by 3:45. Oh, he loves me so much. It's so great. So yeah, it was 85 when I left here. I flew to Denver. It took me 2 hours to get there. I got there. It was snowing, 32 degrees and snowing and sleeting. And then we had the jet ramp issue thing and sloshed through the water and got my hot coffee. I cast back on. I did some people watching. It was good stuff. I had a 3-hour layover. And then I did the other hour and some change flight to Portland. I rented a car. And I got a really good deal on it. And whenever I got to the counter, the gentleman was like, do you want an upgrade? And I said, no, I don't need an upgrade. My friends have cars. I don't even know if I'm going to get to drive. Probably not, like maybe one day because my girlfriend works, she had to work for the time I was there. So basically during the day I was kind of on my own. But other than that, on the weekends, I didn't really need a car. Well, he's like, well, we have some of the new Tacomas and they're kind of, they're what did he say? Nicely equipped. You should try one. Oh, I haven't driven a Tacoma since like 2004. Fine, I'll drive the Tacoma. I'm not really driving anyway. Who cares, right? Yeah, nicely equipped. I got the top of the line TRD 4x4 edition Tacoma with like black rims and blacked out badges. This thing had everything. So that was nice. It was fun. I pulled up into the house and I was inside and hanging out with the dogs. My friends have a very, very wonderful back patio. They live in, I'm so sorry. They live in the Gresham area, and so it's just really quiet, and it was really beautiful where they were, which is great. And I was sitting out back, and up walks her husband, and he's like, whose truck did you steal? Who stole this Tacoma and parked it in my yard? And he drives a Tacoma, too. So then he was joking with me about wanting to see what was new with the new ones because his is a 2012 maybe, and so he basically drove it the whole week. He drove it the whole weekend I was there. I think he did more driving. I know he drove it more than I did. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. We had a good time. And Thursday night we went to a basketball game. Friday I went to Starlight and hung out. I had some coffee. I love Portland for its thousands of coffee shops, and every one of them is different. And Starbucks is like a bad word, which is really cute. I really like the Pacific Northwest and their coffee shops. They take it very seriously. So yeah, then my girlfriend came home. We went to dinner with some of her friends. I finally got to meet them, and that was a lot of fun. We had sushi. Saturday, we went to found another coffee shop, went to a nursery, had lunch at a really nice restaurant called The Observatory. wandered around a little bit, did some grocery shopping. We had ribs, and some of their friends came over, so we all had a nice dinner. It was fun. We had a good time. Spent a lot of time outside while I was there, and lots of time on their back deck. I think I spent more time there than I did in the house. And then Sunday, because it was Mother's Day, I basically got included in her Mother's Day tradition, which is her and her best friend Sarah that lives up there, and then her mom. And I don't know if you know this, Oregon has a lot of wineries. They grow their own grapes, they make their own wine, and they're all kind of up on the ridge in the western part of Portland, kind of near Sherwood. And so they are members at 2 of those, and we went to a tasting at one of them, and then we went down the road to a tasting at another one, and we had lunch and sat on the deck and got to look at the beautiful, beautiful mountain views, and we just all around had a really relaxing day. And then Camille ended up having to fly out to go to Georgia early Monday morning. This came up after I had already booked my tickets. So we kind of cut things, not super short, but a little short in the evening, and we came home and got tacos, and she did some laundry. We opened up a bottle of wine that we had purchased, and we sat on the front deck and just kind of caught up for my last night, which was really nice. It was a very relaxing trip for me. I had a really good time. Monday morning, she flew out, and her husband, when he came home, kind of looked at me and said, "What did you want to see while you're here?" Because my flight didn't leave until later the afternoon. And so he took me up to the gorge, which I've been to several times, but I have not seen it since the big fire. So we did the Overlook, and we went by Vista House, and if you're from the Oregon area, or if you're from the Portland area, I'm sure you'll know what I'm talking about. And we drove down and then hit the highway and zoomed back or whatnot, and I got to see the ridge, the whole ridge of the gorge that's gone. And natural disasters are always incredibly heartbreaking, but I find that the death of an old growth forest is just, there's so much permanence that's lost, and it just really hits me really hard. It's just incredibly, incredibly sad. Unfortunately, whenever like a tornado flows through someplace, you're worried about the people damage. Does anybody lose their lives? You're worried about the people who lost their homes. But in your heart that it can all be rebuilt, But when these are 300-400-year-old trees, and they're just not here anymore, and it's sad. It's sad to think about how much of your planet you've lost because of something like that. Yeah, so on Saturday, back here, on Saturday, my husband and his brothers each rented a slingshot, which if you don't know what that is, it looks like a Formula One car, but with one wheel in the back. So it's 2 in the front, 1 in the back. It's like a little car. They're made by Polaris, I think, and they're counted as an, I don't know, like a motorcycle, I guess. You have to have a motorcycle license to operate them. And yeah, so since we used to ride bikes and we all have licenses, and he's been wanting to do it for a really long time, but my husband's really stressed out. He's kind of at that point where he's trying to decide what he wants to do with his life. He's kind of tired of making everybody else money, and is thinking about opening his own business, but he's not really sure what path he wants to take. So he's kind of in an area where he's just figuring out where he wants to be, what he wants to do. So I encouraged that while I was gone, I called his brother and I said, "I want you to schedule to do this while I'm not here." And my brother-in-law was like, "What?" But I told him I really want him to go out and have no worries. I want him to be able to take Hector. I want him to go out with you. I want y'all just to go and have no worries and no complaints, no drama. Just let him get out and go do something fun for himself without me. And so they did. The third brother kind of ended up catching up, kind of ended up interjecting himself at the last minute, and he rented his own. He took his girlfriend, and apparently everybody was fine and everything went well. And they got to do that all day long. So they had them from 9 a.m. to 9 a.m. the next day, which was really cool. So they went from Houston to Austin, which is about 2.5 hours, and they did a bunch of the little twisty roads out there in the hill country, and they had a really good time. They had a blast. So, yeah. And then they did the Mother's Day thing with his family. I don't really know what happened or how that went. I think they just went to his mom's house, and I think they had brunch there. Yeah. So that was it. That's all I have to talk about. I know that the knitting content was a little light this episode. But I'm kind of at that point with all of my work and all of my projects, like where I just need to power down. Like I'm at the finishing point. I just need to get down and do it, and everything should be wrapping up here pretty soon. So I should have some finished objects for you very shortly. I hope you guys had a really lovely weekend, And I hope that your Mother's Day, whatever your relationship might be with it, whether it's super happy and you and your mom have wonderful relationships, whether you have a emotional tie with it, like maybe your mother isn't with us anymore, or maybe you're missing somebody, or whether your relationship is strained, or you don't have a relationship, or whatever the case may be. If you are in one of those camps, know that I am holding space for you, and I feel you. I know exactly what that's like. So whatever your Mother's Day might have been, I hope that you ended up passing time that made you happy this weekend. So I will see you next week, hopefully. So have a very nitty week, and I will see you soon.